and we will get started. All right, so we will begin laying all the way down on our mats as per usual in our Shavasana. Just making sure that as we enter into our relaxation pose, that we're happy with the setup of our room. As we come down into position, sometimes we realize we need to adjust something or we're getting distracted by something else. Now's the time to really set ourselves up for success. And if there's something that is bothering you or distracting you that you're not going to be able to deal with, don't worry about it. Allow that to be something that every now and then you notice, you acknowledge, you accept it, and you move on from it. It's a good lesson that I was taught and I really used, because distractions and mind wandering really do always exist. So to be able to just notice it and then without judgment, just let it pass. And as I say that, I hope that we're feeling a little bit more relaxed and comfortable in our position. Just allowing those shoulders to come down to the floor. Noticing if our head or neck feels out of alignment. Same with the shoulders or the hips. And now we bring our focus more into our breathing. Taking that big inhale, allowing the stomach to rise, and then taking the exhale, allowing the body to melt. Noticing anything that happened before our practice or anything that we have yet to do after our practice. Those things are set aside for the moment. Right now, we're dedicating our full focus to our body, whether that's for purposes of flexibility and stretch, or releasing tension and stress, or just to get away from our responsibilities for a little while. Really enjoying this moment. Whenever you're ready to do so, drawing those arms up overhead, taking that nice big reach, perhaps able to expand through the rib cage, lengthen the back more, take even deeper, bigger breaths. We can release our arms and carefully draw those legs into the chest, giving ourselves a big hug. Noticing our range of motion as we hug the knees into the chest. We can rock side to side, meeting out those lower backs, realizing any pinching or any tightness through the hips. And then we'll start to slow that rocking and start rolling through the ankles, the feet. Preparing for our single leg stretch, keeping a hold of our right knee, lowering that left leg all the way down to the ground, pulling the right knee open and out towards that right shoulder. We can firmly press the left leg down into the ground. And if this is our first real stretch in a while, really paying attention to the hips, we'll bring the knee over towards the left shoulder. Notice any stretching through the outside of our right hip. We can bring that knee back in and lower down. Taking the left thigh up when we're ready and open out towards that left shoulder. We can firmly press the right leg down and away. Notice if we're really holding tightly in our shoulders or if we can relax them down. start that awareness piece of keeping tension out of the neck and shoulders. Drawing the knee over towards the right side when you're ready. Noticing any stretch, any limiting motion, restrictions in the hip. We'll come through the middle and slowly lower that leg down. But if we need to wiggle ourselves into position to bring our feet up, go ahead. Getting ready for those glute bridges. Taking our arms down by our side. Inhale when you lift the hips up. And then slow exhale, massage the spine one vertebrae at a time. Again, we inhale, lift the hips up. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, lower down. And one more. Inhale, squeeze the glutes, lift the hips. And exhale, lower. Little abdominal work now as we keep our feet grounded. We'll take our hands to back of head, elbows nice and wide, preparing to lift the head up and down a few times with abdominal crunches. Squeeze the abdominal muscles. Let's inhale, lift the chin into the chest, head and shoulders come up. Exhale, lower. Nice slow crunches. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale. Talking to those abs, getting them to turn on. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, lower. We'll do just one more. Inhale, lift. And exhale, down. Very good. Keeping our hands down, we'll go through some alternating marches to get the hips good and warmed. Noticing shoulders and hips as they touch the floor. Let's keep them stable. Hands are just down by our sides. We inhale, lift our right knee up. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, left, trying not to wobble. Exhale, lower. Inhale, right. Exhale. Inhale, left. Exhale, very good. Inhale, right, keeping with this ab prep. Exhale, down. Inhale, left. Exhale. Inhale, right. Exhale. Inhale, left. Exhale, and one more each side. Inhale, right. Exhale, down. Inhale, left. Exhale, down. Good. Let's take our arms out to the side, little windshield wipers. We've started working through the hips, the back, loosening up anything through that area of our body. Starting to slow that movement, coming into our hip stretch, that figure four. Right foot crosses over the left thigh. We could very easily just sit here, relaxing, taking a few deep breaths, closing our eyes. If anyone needs a bit more at this point, we can press the knee away or thread the hands under. A good moment for some self-reflection, noticing early on in our practice if we've been able to limit the mind wandering or if we're having a harder time focusing today. It's okay either way. Don't judge yourself harshly. Whether the breathing is coming easily or if it's a struggle, and how the body feels as we start to move it. Let's release those feet down and we'll repeat that on the other side. Crossing the left ankle over. Again, maybe we just relax, or we can press the knee open or thread the hands through. Nice soft shoulders. Palm through the eyebrows. Sometimes we scrunch the eyes. Just let those eyes relax. One more big inhale. And exhale, release down. Again, you can kind of shake those hips out, windshield wipers. And let's prepare for our final stretch laying on our backs like this. We'll come into another glute bridge. So if your feet have moved, keep your feet hips width distance apart, knees pointing straight up to the ceiling, feet flat on the floor, arms come down by our sides. We'll start by lifting the hips up and holding a glute bridge. So we're down on our shoulders. You can roll your shoulders a little bit. And now I want you to try to touch your fingers underneath your back. That might be something that's just not happening today, but we can work at as we puff the chest. And some of us might be able to interlace those fingers, coming more up onto the shoulders, straightening the arms underneath. This is definitely a shoulder mobility as we puff the chest and lift the hips, squeezing them tightly. Holding this chest expansion stretch for one more big inhale. Slowly release the arms with your exhale. Draw those back down and give our knees a really big hug. Again, you can rock that side to side. Slowly rocking over onto our side through that fetal pose so we can push ourselves up. Any adjustments we need to make or drinks we need to take as we prepare for our kneeling. Bringing ourselves over onto hands and knees when you're ready. Tie my hair back, excuse me one moment. Okay, thank you very much. So we'll bring ourselves down onto hands and knees. We'll just do a couple of exercises here, I promise. We'll go through our typical spinal balance. I love this one for coordination. It's that cross-body movement, taking the right arm forward and then that left leg back. Slowly lowering that. Left arm forward, right leg back. And lower down. Inhale, right arm, left leg. Exhale, lower. Inhale, left. Exhale. Inhale, right. Exhale, and one more time. Inhale, left. Exhale. Good. Let's do those cats and cows. Inhale, open the chest, look forward. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, pull the belly in, and round up. Inhale, untuck and open. Exhale, tuck and round. Inhale, open. Exhale, round. And one more. Inhale, open. Exhale, round. We can press back into child's pose. Adjusting as you need to for comfort in your knees, your hips, your feet. And then allow those arms to come forward as much as you're able to stretch them and relaxing the head. Whether the forehead touches the ground or hovers above it. Let's take again that self-reflection moment, investigating on how our practice feels so far today. And while we're here, let's stretch through those shoulders as we walk the hands over to the right. My favorite side stretch. Left hand on top of right hand. And then we pull back into that left hip a little bit. Essentially just lengthening the left side of our body. Taking a few big breaths. And then walking through the middle over towards that left side. Right hand comes on top and we sit over into that right hip. Coming through the middle. Holding child's pose for just one more big breath. And then coming up. Finding tabletop so that we can set up for gate pose. I'll turn to the front so you can see me better. So we'll cross, or not cross, but open that right foot out to the side. You might feel a little bit of a stretch here through that right groin. Easy as we walk ourselves all the way up into a kneeling position. Now, personally, I like to take that back left toe and curl it, but that might either rock you off or help you. So you can play with that, keeping that foot flat on the floor. If this is also sensitive on your knee, remember you can always take your mat and double it up, or you could have that towel or cushion nearby. From here, we'll take our arms out to the side. Take the right hand, glide it down as that left arm opens up. Now you'll notice in my alignment, I've got my hand, shoulder, hip, knee. It's all stacked in one straight line if you can get it there. Holding our gate pose, we've opened to the door. We're taking a couple of breaths. And we'll inhale, lift up. Now take our hands to the floor. If they are already there, I want us just to push back in our hips a little bit. This is a modified straddle, working on stretching through the inside of that right leg. Good, we'll hold this for just a couple of breaths. You may be high on your knee, you might be coming low. I love that in yoga, we can all look so very different, stretching the same area. And we'll come all the way up through that tabletop position. And when you're able to, take that left foot out to the side. Now this left leg may be entirely different. We'll see how this right knee cooperates on the ground, and then lift ourselves up. If we're able to, work on our balance, bringing our arms out into that T. Good. We take our left arm down and our right arm up. And I like to flip it so I look at my right palm. And then again, that's stacking if you're able to. A couple nice big breaths. Very reminiscent of the reverse warrior that we typically do in our warrior poses when we're standing up, taking that big side bend. Good, big inhale, lift up. And then take the hands down and we'll push our hips back, whether it's a lot or a little. Again, I've got you can't see it very well, but I've got my toe, so I'm resting on the ball of my foot. That's just personal comfort for me. And really big stretch through the groin and inner thigh area, which in these slippery conditions can so easily be pulled if we're putting on the brakes as we're trying to avoid that fall. Really trying to keep these loose and a little bit more resilient. We'll take our knee through the middle, and then again, let's push back into child's pose. Sit those hips back. Notice anything we're feeling through the hips. Preparing for down dog. We can press those hands into the mat deeply, curl the toes, and then lift the hips up nice and high. Now I've already taken my socks off. If you need to spend an extra moment to take socks off, doing so if you need that extra grip. Noticing the angle of your fingers if you need to change them so your wrists and hands are more comfortable. If you need to make your hands a bit wider. Same with your feet. I like a very narrow stance. My feet are almost touching but not quite. Yours might be a little bit wider. Same with your knees. If they're lots and lots bent or if they're more straight today, you can pedal through your feet, walking toe to heel, right to left foot. And then we'll actually be walking those feet all the way in together to come up into that standing posture. Taking our hands into monkey, pressing the hands right into our shins or our thighs, squeezing those shoulder blades together. Soft knees as our back becomes parallel with the floor. And now softening the knees, big inhale, lift up. We'll come down into chair pose. Scoop those hands forward, sweeping them as we sit a bit further back into the hips and heels, keeping our backs flat. We'll take a big inhale, lift up again, and exhale, release. Go ahead and just roll those shoulders down, preparing for another side stretch, holding ourselves in mountain pose to do this. So our feet are, again, roughly hips width distance apart. We want to roll through big toe, little toe, inner outer edges of the feet. We always want to think about the ground up, so whatever's touching the floor, and then from there, slurping, and then extending through the fingers, extending through the head. The core is going to help with everything we do. So as we stand here, soften those knees. Make sure we're feeling very sturdy, very strong, just like a mountain. Take the right arm up above the head, reach it a little bit higher, and then push just a little bit, just that push over into that right hip. We really lift that right arm. See if we can get that extra side stretch down the side. Now as we inhale, bring the left arm up, lower that right arm, and then exhale, scoop. So it's like that sweep over to the left just a little bit, lifting up really, really tall with that left arm. Remember to breathe. One more big inhale. And exhale, release. Roll the shoulders down again. All right, at this point, we're going to step to the long edge of your mat or face me, whatever you prefer. We have no one that we're interrupting here if we face the wrong way, so that we can go through a little bit of a warm up. So if our legs are out in this straddle-like position, slightly turned out, make sure they're not so turned out that you're feeling off balance and they're not so wide that you feel like you can't come into a good plie. We'll take our arms up with a big inhale, and then I want to scoop our laundry up with our exhale. Inhale, lift our arms up, and exhale. So these are our moonflowers. And just move with each breath. It doesn't have to be very fast. And what I love about these are they're a great heat building exercise to get the blood flowing from fingertips to toes, working through those major joints of our hips and our shoulders. So again, it's inhale to lift tall, and then exhale to scoop down. We'll do one more like this, and then I'm going to change the arms, turning these into sunflowers. So now we straight arm lift up like you're making a starfish, and then as you exhale, draw the elbows in, keeping your hands electric. So inhale, reach up 5 points. Exhale, squeeze those elbows in. Inhale to lift. And exhale. And as I drive the elbows in, I really squeeze my shoulder blades together. I find this one very energizing. Good, let's do 2 more. And then I'm going to confuse you, and we'll do an every other alternating. We'll start with that big circle at the top. Everyone inhale at the top. Exhale, scoop. And now inhale, starfish. Exhale, elbows in. So again, we inhale, scoop. Exhale, round over. And then inhale, starfish. Exhale, elbows. Inhale, round. Exhale. Inhale, starfish. Exhale, elbows. One more of each. Inhale, round. Exhale, scoop. And inhale, starfish. Exhale, squeeze. Lift all the way up. And release. Shake it out. Oh, good. Hopefully feeling a little bit warmer. I'm just going to take off my warm-up sweater before we continue on with our sun salutations. We'll go through our sun sals just a couple of times now that we're a little bit more warmed up. So if you need to bring yourself to the very top of our mats, we can make those adjustments. Okay, standing in mountain, again, just nice soft knees at the top, rolling the shoulders down for amazing posture. We'll inhale, lift the arms up nice and tall for prayer. Exhale, hinge from the hips as we swan dive down into forward fold. Inhale, halfway up to monkey. Exhale, forward fold. Softening our knees, step down into tabletop or plank, whichever you prefer, whatever works for your body today. And then push back into down dog or child's pose. Now we'll come into our flow series, but if you'd rather just stay here and hold your child's pose or your down dog, that's okay too. So with our flow, we inhale forward into plank. We can take the knees to the floor and then slowly chaturanga all the way down. Inhale, lifting up to cobra. Maybe it's baby, maybe it's full. And then press back into down dog or child's pose. Taking our time, walking our feet and hands together. And coming up halfway to monkey. Softening those knees, inhale, reverse swan dive, lift tall. And exhale, sweep, sitting back into chair. We'll do that one more time. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, swan dive, hinging from our hips. Inhale, halfway up to monkey. Exhale, release into forward fold. Stepping back into plank or tabletop. And then pressing all the way back into down dog or child's pose. Nice big stretch here. Then you choose if you'd like to stay here or join me in the flow. We inhale forward into our plank. We can bring the knees down. And exhale, chaturanga, down to the mat. Inhale, lifting up into cobra. And exhale, push back, down dog or child's pose. Now from our stretch, we'll walk our hands and feet all the way together. Coming halfway up into monkey. Pull those shoulders, really try to squeeze them, knitting them together in the back. Pull the bellies in. And we soften the knees. Inhale, lift so tall up to prayer. Exhale, sweep down into chair. Inhale, lift up. And exhale, release. Again, we can take a couple shoulder rolls. Now is a really good time to grab a drink if you haven't yet, whether you've got a tea or a water. And we'll be coming into our warrior series. So I'm going to try to show the warrior series all at this point. I'm just going to give you a brief so that hopefully you don't have to look at me too much. The first one is going to be warrior 1, and then we'll come down into our pyramid pose. The second one is going to be warrior 2, and then we'll come down into our side angle, followed by reverse warrior. And then the very last one is going to be, might as well stay on that same side. Warrior 2, into side angle, followed by triangle. So that will really be targeting those inner thighs and the side body. I'll do the whole thing on my mat this way. So hopefully you're able to follow along a little bit better. Ready? Okay. Holding ourselves at the very top of the mat, mountain pose, Tadasana. We start with warrior 1, bringing our weight into our right foot and then taking our left foot behind us. So with our right foot at the very top, we'll try to press that back left heel into the mat. You can angle that foot as much as you need to. And then we shift our whole pelvis forward, keeping our belly and our shoulders drawing back, lifting those arms up, either all the way tall above the head or down to heart center. Make sure the shoulders are way away from the ears. The weight is distributed from big toe, little toe, heels, inside, outside. And then as we're here, I want you to really slurp up the legs. So squeeze everything in the legs, bending that front knee a little bit more. Now let's take a few big deep breaths. Checking in on our balance, on how strong and sturdy we feel. In a very peaceful pose, warrior 1. We'll release our hands to our hips, straightening at our legs. Now, if our legs feel too big, mine feel a bit too big right now, I'm just gonna walk them in a little bit closer to come into that forward fold. We'll hinge at our hips, bringing our chest towards that front leg. As soon as we feel that hamstring stretch, we rest the hands anywhere on the leg, the foot or the floor. I want us to try to keep our hips and shoulders level rather than dipped or twisted. And let's really utilize our breathing to help us lengthen and relax. One more big inhale. Now softening both knees, taking our hands to that front thigh. Let's slowly walk ourselves up. We'll step our feet together, fidget out. I haven't done very much movement today, so my feet are feeling like they're gonna cramp, which is very common in yoga. So just remember to drink water and keep encouraging the blood flow into the feet by massaging them as we stand tall and work on our warrior one pose on the other foot. So now I've got my left foot at the very top, my right foot's behind. We're going to stay tall through the body as the whole pelvis shifts forward. Sometimes it's just the belly that shifts. So we want to keep this tucked in as we bring the whole body. Arms can come up, shoulders come down, heart center if we prefer. And then we take those beautiful, intentional, active breaths. It's not often that we think about breathing throughout the day. So utilizing our yoga practice to do just that. Last big inhale. Bringing those hands to our hips. Straightening out the legs. Again, mine feels a bit wide, maybe a little bit too narrow. So I'll step it in and a little bit out. And then hinging forward into our forward fold. And once we feel the stretch, establishing pyramid pose by touching the hands to the thigh or the shin, the foot or the floor. Remember, if we take a spot and we realize that it's just not working for us, you can change it as many times as you need to. Readjusting the pose, taking those big breaths, stretching up the back of our left leg. Taking that last big inhale. And on our exhale, we can soften the knee, take our time walking up the leg, slowly stepping together, and we can roll through those feet. Good. Now, before we continue, we're going to take our first balance. Then we'll do our second warrior series. So if you think that, depending on how your balance felt, you might need a wall, a table, or a chair nearby, just moving ourselves there. Same with the surface you're on. If you're on a really plush carpet or a big mat, you might want to step onto a hardwood or just minimize how cushy it is so we get the best stabilization. Tree pose is what we're coming into. Starting from an amazing Tadasana, let's extend that right leg out to the side, shifting the weight onto the left foot. Open the right hip and draw the foot in, whether the foot stays touching the floor, coming to the calf, or above the knee to the inner thigh. We'll really draw that left hip in, lifting the whole body up, and then bring the arms into position as well. Whatever they may be, just making sure that they're purposeful. Feeling open across the pelvis, tall through the torso. Slowly coming through the middle and release. Massage, massage, fidget, fidget. Again, we want to encourage the blood flow. And let's try our hand at the other side. Amazing posture to start in Tadasana, mountain pose. We'll take that left leg out, noticing how it feels to support ourselves on the right foot. We open, draw in, again, really lift, and then take the foot into its place. Whenever the foot is established, we can secure the arms into place. And they may change too. That's okay if all of a sudden you realize that you need to move the arms if they were tall or at heart center and you need something else. And the foot doesn't need to be in the same place either if you need to make some adjustments. Good, we'll take that final big inhale. And exhale, release. Fidget, fidget, fidget. grab a drink of water or whatever you have if you need it, and then we'll get going on with our second warrior series. Now with this particular warrior pose, I'm gonna start at the opposite end of my mat just so that I'm not having my back face you the whole time. I hope that doesn't confuse you too much. So at the top of your mat, we'll step our left foot behind us and then open ourselves up into that warrior two pose. Am I totally backwards of you now? Is that better? This is better for you. Left foot behind us. There we go. I had to think about my mirror. Now as we hold warrior two, make sure your feet are wide enough that you're not scrunching up those right toes, and press yourself into the side, rolling the shoulders down. Sometimes we're undercut and we grip the toes, but we always want to lengthen in yoga. Everything we do, we want a little bit more. Now we'll come down into our side angle pose, taking that right elbow to thigh, left arm up to ceiling. Now, if the left arm doesn't feel nice, take it into the back pocket. It's a really great place for it, maintaining that open collar. And as we hold side angle, I'm going to see if we're all able to just bend into that knee and just let the hips drop just a little bit more. A lot of core work here to keep the body holding this position. Now, big inhale, lift ourselves up through warrior two. You can take a quick break if you need to, straighten and then bend. Coming into reverse warrior. That front right hand lifts so tall. The left hand can either touch your back left leg or just personal preference again. I always like to place my arm just on the lower back. I rest it right at the dip between my back and my bum. That way I'm not tempted to lean into that leg. And then we push the weight a bit more into the right knee. Lift that right arm up nice and high. Good, big inhale, warrior two. Softening that front leg, and we step together. Shake, shake, shake. All right, now as we flip sides, now I'm going to come to the other side. Now that I've got myself in the proper frame of mind here with my rights and lefts. So we'll now take the right foot back, keeping your left foot at the top of the mat. Open ourselves up. So really press away from your back foot, that back edge. That's where your power comes from. And then you shift your weight into that front knee, which comes right on top of your heel. And then you're able to really splay the toes out. Arms are the exact same thing. It's that strong shoulders. Press those fingers as long as they'll go. And then we come into side angle. Bringing the left elbow, the right arm up nice and high. Now what you want to think about is if someone were to trace you, they would come from your foot, come up your knee, your hip, all the way through. There'd be this just beautiful straight line. Same with this top arm, even if it's behind your back. We're coming up from heel, elbow, shoulder, shoulder, just beautiful straight lines in yoga. Now inhale, lift ourselves up. Again, we can take that quick break, give our legs a second as we come into warrior two, reverse warrior. Taking that left hand, lift it up so high. You can keep the right hand on your leg, tuck it in your back pocket, and I like to really shift my weight forward, whatever that may look like for you. And then just taking this arm, make sure the shoulder stays down as we open this side. Couple more breaths in our reverse warrior. Big inhale, warrior two. And exhale, step, 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 fidget, fidget, fidget. And again, we're going to split up our warrior series with a balanced pose. So if you found having your assistant, your wall or your table chair nearby helpful, please go to that again. This time it's dancer. Let me turn actually to the side. I think that'll be better for me so I can look at a spot on my wall. Now we'll start on our right foot, taking that left leg back behind us. You can take the left ankle on the outside or inside. Inside preferably, but if that's not working, just hold wherever you can grab, socks, pants, whatever. And we bring that left hand either holding your table or wall or bring it forward. And then if you're able to adjust from here, we push the foot back into the hand. And the hips may tip slightly, they may not. Try to keep the chest proud, the head lifted. Take a big inhale, lift up, and exhale. Let's do the other side. So if you need to turn around so you can hold something, by all means doing that now. And then when you're ready, finding that Tadasana, extending the right hip back. We can take the inside or outside of that ankle, really open through the shoulders. The left hand either reaching forward or it's holding something as we press the foot into the hand and possibly pitch forward. Taking a nice big inhale and exhale. And fidget, fidget, fidget. Now, all that being said, maybe when we were coming into our dancer, the foot wasn't coming all the way up. That's a lot of knee flexion. If you're able to kind of get it lifted, or perhaps next time you can place that foot on the lip of your chair or couch and then press forward, that's another really good stretch. So stuff to work towards as we come into our third and final warrior series. Taking that warrior two pose again. So we'll start by standing tall on the right foot, bringing that left leg all the way back. So as we bend into the right knee, let's open the arms, stack them on top. Again, that power is coming from the back foot forward into the front knee. We'll come down into side angle, just like we did last series. Either lifting the arm up nice and tall or setting it into the back pocket. Let's think of those straight lines that we're drawing from head to toe. And we'll get ready for our triangle. So today, how we're going to get into triangle is by trying to straighten the arm and leg where we are. And if triangle's not feeling nice, go ahead and go back into side angle just by bending the knee and bending the elbow. Again, you can take that hand down into your back pocket if that feels better. Really focusing on lifting up through the inner thighs and the groin. Now softening the knee, big inhale, lift up. And slowly step together. As many steps as you need. And then we'll take ourselves and get ready for the other side. I'm going to turn so I can see you. Taking the right foot back, we'll bend into that left knee. Shoulders down, beautiful warrior two. And then when you're able to, we switch into side angle. Oh, I'm really starting to notice the lengthening coming into the side body. Those are finally starting to give away. Maybe you're experiencing some opening through your hips or shoulders or perhaps even your back as well. These isometric contractions are not easy. It takes a lot of muscles working in synergy to hold these positions. And we'll now work into triangle, straightening the leg and straightening the arms. Relative to your needs today, as straight as they're going to work. Couple really nice big breaths. Oh, those look beautiful. All right, softening the knee, big inhale, lift up. And release. Fidget, fidget, fidget. Now our very last standing pose, sort of a balance but 2 feet. We're going to come into a standing forward fold. So feet hips width distance apart, roll the shoulders down. Before we come into forward fold, we stretch the chest once more. So we bring those arms back as if you're holding an imaginary Pilates ball, or you can interlace them if they connect, really puffing up the chest. And that last piece, just keep the knees bent. And if you're able to look up, we can look up. If that bothers anyone's neck or causes anyone to get dizzy, keep the eyes forward, working a little bit on stretching open through the chest. And slowly release the arms. Go ahead and take a couple of shoulder rolls. And now that forward fold. Taking a big inhale, lift the arms all the way up tall. Exhale, hinging at the hips. Swan dive into your hang. Whether the hands are touching the thighs, the shins, the feet, or the floor. The knees can be as bent as you need them to be, or as straight as you're able to get them. Slowly softening the knees, and we'll step down into tabletop. And in tabletop, we'll push all the way back into child's pose. Again, making sure that you're modifying the position, widening the knees or keeping them narrow so that we can be getting as much benefit out of the stretch, really enjoying it. And while we hold child's pose, we'll come into that thread the needle, bringing the right arm across as we drive it underneath the left shoulder, and you can lay into your ear. Maybe your head isn't quite touching the floor, maybe it's hovering above the mat. Taking the shoulder stretch as best as you can. Then slowly working through the middle. As much as I did not want to come out of that, that felt so good. We have to do the other side. We'll bring the left arm underneath. There are just some days and some poses that really speak louder than others. And this for me is one of them. Taking a couple nice big breaths. And we'll come through the middle. And now coming into our cobra stretch, whether we come forward and chaturanga, or if we just stay nice and high, find your cobra, hold it for a couple of breaths, open up through the abdominals, down the back, and through the chest. And when you need to come out of it, we can press back for our final child's pose. And feel free to wiggle through the hips a little bit if that feels good. And then eventually, I'm going to ask you to come into a seated position. In the seated posture, we'll take just a couple of side stretches to finish off before we find our final relaxation. So the first one will be our legs coming out into that straddle. So just like in Pilates, when we set up for our saw pose, it's as wide as you need it to be. Little knee bend is okay. Remember, the important part is that the heels are down, toes are up, and that is indicative of the hips, so that we can really stay up nice and tall through the middle. From here, we'll take our hands on the floor and go for a walk. Whether it's a short walk or a long walk, this is our forward fold in our straddle split. Again, you can bend the knees lots, and you can walk a little bit farther with every exhale if you want it to be a little bit more active, or we can simply just relax the head and lay here, noticing any additional inner thigh or groin stretches that we may be experiencing, or perhaps we're feeling this in the back. Now we slowly roll ourselves up. Keep our legs where they are, maybe adjust them if you need to, as we find those side bends as I promised. Let's take the knuckles to the inside of the legs, and then we'll drive the right hand towards the foot, taking the left arm up towards the ceiling. Again, if the left arm would prefer to take the back pocket, that's a good place to be. Let's keep that left hip down on the ground. Remember your heel on the floor position. Really feeling open finding that length. I love yoga, especially as a shorter person, feeling so tall and so long, so loose, so fluid after class. Big inhale, lift up, taking both knuckles again, sitting so tall. And then we exhale, reach the left hand towards the foot. And that right hand can come straight up to the ceiling or perhaps into the back. And we'll just really make sure that we're keeping our mind on our breathing. Sometimes we catch it or hold it. Want to take a few deep breaths. And now a nice big inhale. And now we can shake, shake, shake. We'll be coming down to the floor for our very last 2 stretches before we relax. So if you'd like to take yourself onto your back now, the first stretch that we're going to do is our spinal twist. You can do that with both knees together, or you can do it one leg at a time. I prefer one leg at a time personally. I know some people like to be a little bit more cautious, so you keep your knees bent and keep them together. So we'll bring our arms out to the side, either way, and we'll take our right knee up or both knees up and lower over to the left. Now trying to keep our shoulders calm and relaxed on the floor. We can look over that right arm if that's of interest. Really letting go of any tension as we slowly try to bring ourselves into a more relaxed state. We'll lift the knee up or knees up and then slowly lower all the way down. Taking that left knee up now and lower over to the right. And if we're able to relax a little bit, get those shoulders down on the ground, maybe we can look over the left arm. Slow down that breathing. Inhale, lifting the knee up, and exhale, lower down. You can wiggle your body if you need to as we drive our knees into a bent position, feet flat on the floor, allowing both knees to open into our butterfly. Now, right away, my back comes off the ground and my ribs splay as those hips open. That's okay. At this point, we can completely let go of our abs. We can take our hands on to the belly, the knees, or let them completely relax out to the side. And at this point, we are entering our final relaxation. If you would prefer to give your knees a hug or take them down to Shavasana, you could also angle your knees in towards one another with the knees bent and take the feet onto the floor. The invitation is open to change into whatever position you need as we hold this final relaxation. Closing our eyes if they're not yet closed. And really focusing on slowing our breath. If you're noticing your mind wandering, remember that's okay. We acknowledge, we accept, and then we bring our focus into our breath once more. Trying to keep your eyebrows relaxed, unlock the jaw, release those shoulders. Getting ready for that last big inhale. Take in as much air as you possibly can. And then exhale, let it all go. Starting to wiggle those fingers and toes. We can work the hands and feet in little circles. Eventually drawing the knees into the chest, giving ourselves, again, that gorgeous hug, whatever that looks like. Feel free to rock. And then whether we rock and roll up to sitting or come over to our side and through that fetal position, we'll prepare for our seated pose to say our final goodbye. Getting ourselves upright. Wonderful. All right, so sitting up so tall. Inhale, hands all the way up above head to prayer. Exhale down into your heart center. Namaste. Thank you very much, everyone.